Hi sisters, James Charles here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I thought I would sit down and talk to you about something that has been a very controversial and widely talked about topic right now in the makeup community and just in the community, I guess, in general, and that is editing and retouching photos. For some reason lately, photoshopping and face tuning has been a very controversial topic on social media, but I have a little bit of a newsflash for you guys. Almost every single influencer or celebrity that you see posting a photo has probably face tuned it. I don't know why recently people have been getting so surprised and called out for it, because this has been something that has been going on since literally the beginning of time. Everybody edits their photos, and I guarantee probably half of you watching all have Facetune installed on your phones as well. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite used apps. Today I wanted to sit down with you guys and show you the process from taking the photo to actually posting it on Instagram and everything in between. For some reason, a lot of people literally think that I pull my Instagram photos out of my apps and edit all my makeup on, which is so far from the truth. Oftentimes, if you add me on Snap, I post completely raw and unedited photos on there because unfortunately, you can't edit them on Snap. I wish you could, but yeah, you really can't hide from this stuff. I've never been someone to hide from editing in the first place. I openly talk about face tuning and photoshopping all the time, and here I am right now making a tutorial for you guys and giving away all my hints. So, that being said, if you want to see how I take my selfies from Drab to Fab, just make sure you keep on watching. Alright everybody, and welcome to my home screen. This is my iPhone 7 Plus. This is where I take all my photos and do all my editing. I used to use Photoshop a long time ago, but now I keep it just on my phone. It makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker. So today I'm going to show you how I go from start to finish. Now the first app that I always open is going to be obviously Snapchat. Hello guys, this is real, this is me, and this is directly from my front camera. Now, I never take actual photos with my camera. I always use Snapchat to take my selfies. The camera on here is so good, it doesn't mirror your images, and it kind of blurs out the skin and just puts a really soft filter on everything, making the photos super high quality, but also almost self-retouched, if that makes any sense. Once I take my photos, I always just save them, and then I'll go through my favorites, which are right up in here, and I'll pick the ones that I like the best. So for today's video, I decided to Facetune this photo right here that I took this morning, the same look that I have on right now. It is clearly this is 4 o'clock, so it is now 5 hours later. It is clearly worn down just a little bit, but this is right after it was fresh. So this was taken right in front of my window out there in my apartment, and we're going to be editing this photo today for the gram and for the purposes of this video. I do want to talk about one quick thing before I actually go and start editing, and that is how much I edit my photos. As an artist, I like to look at my Instagram as kind of my portfolio, so therefore I want to put out the best work possible for all of you guys to see. When I do edit my photos, I always change things that are already there. You will never ever see me actually editing on makeup. That includes editing out any imperfections, smoothing out skin, brightening up the eyes or the highlights if it was lost to lighting, and just stuff of that basic nature. Basic things that can't be fixed with makeup, that have to be fixed with either lighting or plastic surgery. Two things that are kind of out of my control. That being said, just in case anybody wants to call me out for lying, I did take a video this morning of this look, and this is what I looked like. This is once again raw from Snapchat, unfiltered, unedited. This is my makeup. I looked pretty decent. I liked it a lot today, and yeah, you can't edit this. It's right from Snapchat, so yeah. I'm going to be editing this picture today just to enhance it a little bit, but keeping in mind what I actually looked like this morning, which you just saw in that video. When I'm filming, the first app that I'll always hop into is Facetune. Now this app is $4.99 in the App Store, which is a lot more expensive than other apps. No, this video is not sponsored, although I truly, really wish it was. Facetune, please feel free to hit me up. I'm going to go ahead and pick this icon up here, go into Open Photo, then go to Favorites and just pick this photo right here. Now, overall, like I said before, this is a pretty good photo, so I'm just going to go in and really lightly do some retouching. And the first tool I'm going to use is Reshape. If you know a lot about angles, you can tell that this photo is taken from a low angle rather than a straight on angle or a very high up angle. I usually take photos from this angle because it allows for most of my eyelid space to be shown because I have very hooded eyes. But in turn, this makes my eyebrows look smaller, my lips look a little bit smaller, and my jawline to not be as poppin', and my forehead to look huge. So these are just basic things that I like to retouch and just make sure they look as good and natural as possible. The first thing I'm going to do with this photo is I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to make my jawline super duper poppin'. Unfortunately, I cannot afford plastic surgery, and I also legally cannot get plastic surgery because I'm underage, so this is the next best thing we got up in here. I really like the way this looks just because who doesn't love a really good strong jawline? I think it is one of the hottest features on a guy. Going on to the other side, I'm not really going to do anything here just because my jawline lines up with the corner of this wall, and if I move it around, it's going to look very distorted and weird, so I'm not trying to get called out for editing today. We want this to look as natural as possible, believe it or not. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Details tool. This tool basically adds contrast and sharpness to the photo wherever you draw it on, but I feel like this really does make such a difference. I really like to tap it on my eyes, especially the eyelashes, to make sure they really stand out and look nice and flirty and big. Same thing with the inner brow hairs. Usually I'll do my nails, but because they're a little bit grown out, I'm not going to bring any more attention to them. I'll add a little bit on the fake freckles, just tapping it in. And then also my Cartier ring, because I worked very, very hard for it, and I want people to know that it's there. And that is pretty much all the detailing I'm going to do. I really don't want to bring a lot of other attention to the rest of the face, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save my progress. Like I said, doing the before and after, that really does not add that much, but I feel like it really is just the little things that make the photo great in the end. The next tool I'm going to use is going to be the smooth tool, and this is one that you really need to be careful with because it truly can make or break your photos. A lot of people tend to grab smoother and just scrub their photos, which I think looks absolutely awful, is so fake looking, and is obviously not natural, and people are going to know you edited it. It's definitely not a look. I actually tend to literally never use smoother. I always will use smooth and just build up the opacity if I really, really need to. So when I go with this tool, the first thing I'll do is I'll go in and I'll just blur out any pores. For the most part today, I was actually having a pretty good skin day, so I'm just going to lightly tap over areas with any texture, which is kind of like in between the brows, on the nose region, and then this smile line that I always get right here, I always just smooth out. I'm going to lightly tap on my beard area as well because I didn't shave today because I was lazy, and yeah. To finish off with the smooth tool, I'm going to really lightly go over the lips. I hate the way my lips have a lot of texture and lines. They are very, very crusty. I don't know why. I literally use every lip treatment on the planet, and for some reason they still get crusty and dusty, especially when I'm wearing gloss. So I just like to smooth them out to give them a more natural look. As well, I do like to overline my lips to make them look a little bit bigger, so I want them to look as real as possible. Now that I'm done with smoothing, I'm going to go to my all-time favorites tool, and that is tones. This tool is like my hidden secret. Not a lot of people know how to use it, but I am the freaking queen of tones. I love it, and it truly can make your photos so freaking good if you use it correctly and sparingly. So the first thing I'm going to do on this photo is to make sure the highlights are very, very poppin'. Now I was standing in front of a very, very large open window, hitting natural sunlight, so you can see most of the highlights, especially on like my nose, are very, very bright. But there's no light hitting me on the sides of my face or from downwards because I hold the phone downwards. So I'm just going to do a little bit of tones to fix everything up and make sure all the highlights are even and blinding. So I'm going to click the palette button, and I'm actually going to use the color that's already pre-selected, and I'm just going to bring it up to the top, and I'm going to go almost to white but not quite. I want to make sure it's not stark white or else it just looks really, really fake and too like, it just doesn't look right basically. So I'm just going to pick this color, I'm going to grab tones, and I'm going to zoom right on in. And I'm just going to start in by tapping a little bit on the tip of the nose. I'm also going to put a little bit more right up in here. Basically when I do this, I'm going to put my phone like this so you can see, but I like to really just lightly tap on my phone. I never will sit there and scrub it, or it's just going to look really, really stupid like this, which is obviously not the look we're going for. It looks extremely wrong. So I'm just going to grab the eraser and quickly erase over that. But yeah, I like to really just lightly tap it in, just to make sure I'm getting a really, really light and even effect. And then if anything looks too intense, like I don't really like how that looks, I'm just going to grab erase and just lightly tap it back over it. And there we go, that looks pretty good. This doesn't look really good, so I'm just going to erase out that. And then I am going to add a little bit of highlight onto the cheekbone region. Now if you look right here, you can see where the texture is of my actual highlighter. Now the light is not hitting me from the side, it's hitting me from straight on. And because I have a very, very angled face, the highlight is not reflecting. I'm going to lightly tap on just a little bit of highlight right here, just make sure it's showing. But obviously that looks awful, so I'm just going to tap over it once again, just to kind of blend it in and make it look as natural as possible. And there we go, that looks a little bit better, just a little bit of highlight was added, just so they know that it's there, but it's certainly not blinding like the nose one is, but that is a-okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do in tones is the eyes, and this is something that a lot of people talk about. They either love it on my photos or hate it. I clearly love it because I continue to do it, and it's a trick that I absolutely love, and that is brightening up the eyes. I'm going to grab back into tones, and this time I'm just going to go all the way up to stark white, all the way up in the inner corner. I know if you were dying to use it with highlighter, you can't, but now you can use your white. So I'm just going to grab it, and I'm going to lightly go into tones, and I'm going to zoom all the way in, and I'm just going to start lightly tapping on the whites of the eye, just to make them look really, really bright. And then when it comes to the actual pupil, this is my all-time favorite trick. I'm going to lightly tap in the white on the pupils of the eye, and this really brightens them up and makes them look so freaking pretty. Oh my god, see how good that looks? It just looks so like doll-like, almost like a cartoon character, but it looks like it can actually be natural, which is why I freaking love. Unfortunately, my eyes are shit brown, so I always wear my colored contacts anyway. They are Vsco in the color creamy beige. They are my all-time favorites. They are so freaking beautiful, and they do look good with like a light shone on them with flash. But when it comes to like photography, it's really, really hard, especially when you're wearing really fluttery lashes because they create shadows. So I like to just add a little bit more brightness of the eyes, and I do that with tones. So I just draw in a little bit of a V, and I always make sure to leave the top part because I don't want to get rid of any of those shadows because then it'll look really, really fake. So I'm just going to add in that white, then go back into the race and just make sure it looks pretty good. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye as well. The last and final step of this photo is going to be to work on the nose contour. Now this is something that has sparked many a controversy in the past with my followers. People either love my nose contour or hate my nose contour. I personally love a good snatched nose. Like I said before, I am not someone who hides editing. I am very, very open about editing, and my nose is one of the most edited things on me. I've talked on my channel many times about my nose contour and how it's something that I've always struggled with and how it's something I'm not very good at, but I'm learning. And as you can see in this photo, it's honestly not that bad. It does look pretty snatched to begin with, I will say for myself. I do really like how it looks. Like I said, I would post this, but I want to edit it to make it look even better because why the hell not? To do this, I'm going to take the tones tool and I'm going to grab the picker tool, and I'm actually going to zoom into the cheek and I'm going to grab the lightest shade right up in here. So I'm going to lightly tap into that color on the sides of the nose, and that's going to get rid of the shadows. I also love this tool because when you do this, it keeps the freckles and the texture there. It just changes the undercolor. I'm not really sure how it works, but it really truly does wonders, which is why I absolutely love this trick, and it is like my secret to getting the all-time best snatched nose. And there we go, that is the before and after of the signature James Charles nose snatch. That is by far the most edited thing about me, but I'm not going to hide it. I have a very, very big nose. It is not a secret. I do really like the way this looks though on my photos. My nose is the thing that I'm most insecure about, so I do like to edit it. If you don't want to edit your nose like this, don't freaking do it. It's really not that serious. This is just the techniques that I like to do, and just to show you guys that it's not completely fake. So now that the nose is done, this is my face basically completely edited. As you can see, it's really not that different. The pictures look pretty similar. I just made it a little bit sharper, a little bit brighter, and overall just a lot cleaner. But there's one more thing I like to do on Facetune before we go on with the rest of the photo. If you wanted to, you could totally stop here. Everything that we're going to do from now on for the rest of the video is basically just filtering and color stuff. So this photo could be completely done. You could post this. I would post this on my Twitter or something. But for Instagram, because I have a very, very cohesive feed, I'm going to whiten the photo and just play with the colors a little bit. So the last thing I'm going to do on Facetune is go into the whiten tool over here, and this is the one step where I will actually allow you guys to use your finger and go ham with scrubbing. When I'm using this tool, I like to go absolutely ham, just dragging over the entire image because like I said, we have the erase. So I'll just go over in a second and zoom in and make sure everything is very, very clean. And for the most part, I think we are done with Facetune. So I'm just going to go ahead and check that, save it to camera roll, and there we are all set to move on with the next step. So from Facetune, the next app that I always like to use is Vsco Cam. Now if you like filters, this app is definitely for you. I personally don't like filters. I like to just edit the raw image and then just play with the colors a little bit. So I'm just going to use Vsco Cam for that. I'm not going to add a filter. I'm just going to click the little thing in the bottom corner, click this button, and I'm going to go over to this tool right here, which is called Skin Tone. I personally hate when I look either too yellow or too pink in photos. It is one of my biggest pet peeves. I really don't know why. I like to look as neutral as possible, and in this photo I'm looking way too yellow. So I'm just going to take this slider and I'm going to drag it down, probably around like 3.5 looks nice and neutral. I'm not really sure how this is going to read on the actual video recording, but on my phone, this is looking very, very neutral, very, very like right in the middle of pink and yellow. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that right there. For some reason, this really bothers me, and I always will notice this, but I hate when my skin tone does not look the same across all my pictures. So this is one step that is absolutely vital to my process. Now that all the editing is done in Facetune and Vsco Cam, basically the photo is done. So now I'm going to open it up in Instagram and get ready to post. So I'm just going to obviously open up my account, go to this photo, and then I'm just going to adjust it to how I want it to be. I like to bring the brightness way up, so I'll probably bring that to around 7. The contrast I'll boost as well to probably around 7, I guess. Warmth I always bring way down. For some reason, I really like the look of cool tone photos, so I usually bring my warmth down to around 15 or 18, I guess, whatever, not that serious. And I'll always bring the saturation up as well because sometimes the warmth can really dull down the photos, and I want to make sure the vibrancy is still there. It just looks more cool toned. The next thing I'll do is go into this color tab, and like I said, I like them to look really, really cool toned. So I'm just going to pick shadows, go over to the blue, and then bring this down to probably around 15%. I'm going to go into highlights, and for this photo I'm going to boost them up a little bit, probably to around 10, and then I always like to bring my shadows down just to add a little bit more contrast. And my last and final step is just to sharpen the photo. This is like the one thing that I love to do, and sometimes when you take snap selfies, like I said, it makes the quality super, super good and super smooth, but you sometimes do lose a little bit of that detail and sharpness, so I do like to sharpen the crap out of my pictures. For this one I'm probably going to set it around, probably around 30 just to be safe. And that is the completed photo. Then I would go next, write whatever caption I want, and then click share. Alright guys, and that is the completed Facetune tutorial. Just for an overall reference, we went from this to this. Like I said before, I do consider myself an artist, and for me, my Instagram is like my portfolio, so I like to put out the best quality photos as possible, and that definitely includes editing. Almost every single photo posted by an influencer or an online celebrity has been edited, and that's just the cold hard truth. It's not something to be embarrassed of, it's not something to call people out for, and it's not something to yell at either. For the most of us, it's just to fix simple imperfections, but obviously people do go crazy, but it's not fair to judge all of us on the people who go and do the most. You feel me? That being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video today, and I hope you enjoyed my little tips and tricks. Try them out on your photos, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinions and your feedback down below. You don't have to do this much editing, these are just my personal tricks, these are what I like to do, just to fix my insecurities and make my photos the best way possible to match my Instagram feed. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up down below and subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays, and I would love to have you join the sisterhood. If you'd like to follow me on my makeup journey, you can follow my Instagram and Twitter. They're both just James Charles, and my Snapchat for more behind the scenes type stuff, and for completely unedited, raw makeup videos and selfies, add me at James Charles with an extra S after Charles. Alright sisters, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!